name is Meenul Shamim Haque. Shamim is what people call me. I live in London, Woodford Green. What do I do? As a profession, I work as an education welfare advisor for a local authority, and my interests, hobbies, things I do after work is martial arts, namely the system of Kalis Ilustrisimo, sword art of Tatang Ilustrisimo. When I first came to this country, there was a program called Monkey. It was, I think some people call it Monkey Magic, but I think it's generally known as Monkey. And I just liked the idea of this thing, person, half human, half whatever he was, had a little staff that came out of his ear, you know, and did all the fighting, whatever. I was like, wow, that looks really cool. So I was always interested in fighting. I used to get involved in a lot of fights when I was younger, get into trouble quite a bit. So I was sort of looking around for something to do, and it's only when I was about 16, I stumbled across a magazine, had something about martial arts, which was local to where I was living. So I just went along one day and saw them doing a screamer. And that was it, really. The rest is history. I didn't do, lots of people search for different arts and they move from one to another. But I went straight from doing nothing, straight into doing a screamer, and also did some Jeet Kune Do, GKD. But I preferred the war weapons because I thought, do you know what, if I'm getting into fight, I need an equalizer, and what better to have a weapon, stick. But that was at the time I was just doing purely stick. So that's what got me interested in the first place. I was, like I said, about 16 years old. And then a couple of years later, I got introduced to the system of Ilustrisimo. Not even actually training Ilustrisimo, just heard about Ilustrisimo by chance, to be quite honest. I was in the gym one day and someone came over and they said, oh, I'm a student of Antonio Tatang. This is what Tatang is, or this is what he's done. He just started telling us stories about Tatang. He didn't show us a move, not even one move, but just hearing the stories of Tatang, I was like, yep, do you know what? I want to do some of that. Sounds really interesting. Sounds like this guy's had a journey in life, you know, he's experienced some real life fight situation. And he seems like quite a humble guy, because the way they were speaking about him was like, he doesn't like to teach his stuff because it's a fighting art. It's, you know, he's used it for defense and he doesn't really want to teach it, give away his system. But there was people that were really pushing him to learn. So he was taught a few people like Masatoni, a few of the other seniors. And later on he invited me, his name was John Chow actually. John Chow invited me to come to the hotel and do some practice with him. So me and my friend Riza, who now does Silat, now he's quite high up doing Silat, we went to his hotel room and he showed us the basics of Ilustrisimo and then explained to us about, it's not a stick art, really is a sword art. So you play with the stick, but think as long as blade. And I've never looked back really, and I've been doing it ever since. In 1999, I went to the Philippines, trained quite intensively with Masatoni Diego, realised actually this is what I want to do. And I've been going back and forth to the Philippines ever since, training Masatoni, sometimes long, sometimes short trips. That's me. Masatoni's always said, really, don't get involved in any kind of politics. Most of our group, we have people in different parts of the world, but really the core people are the ones that are closest to Masatoni, who train with him, who spend a lot of time with him, and understood what he had to say to us, really. Don't talk about what you do. Let your movement, let your practice do the talking, that's it. So don't need to get involved. Initially, I didn't want to teach Ilustrisimo, to be honest, because like, I think every Ilustrisimo guy, when they see the beauty of the art, and as Masano was saying, the practicality of the art and effectiveness, you soon realize actually this is, if it goes into the wrong kind of person's hands, it's quite deadly art. And you want to keep it for yourself because you love it so much, you want to protect it. But Masano said, hey, you should teach, you know already, go teach. So, because Masatoni pushed to teach, I started teaching it. But I have my kind of way of making sure that people who are to teach have a good character. My thing is, if you don't have good character, personality, I don't really want to teach you. So even though I have lots of people coming and going, only the few core people have remained in my class. So it's quite a close family. It's not a commercial thing. We don't really have a website. I go to FMA festivals, I sometimes do demos, but we don't really advertise per se, because we want people to find us rather than we find the students. That's the thing. Cosmos Tony's pushed me to teach it. I want to teach it, to preserve the art. My thing is preserving it and passing it on to people who's going to do the same. So that's the reason why I teach it. So it's not about the money, it's about the love of the art, trying to keep it and preserve it and pass it on. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard sometimes because you need a training partner really to keep your kind of level up. So the way I sort of do that is I have a few students who will come, now and then and into my house, not just a class in my house, and we do stuff. That's where you keep sharp as well as they have a bit of extra practice. Yeah, so I think I pass on the passion to them as well. So everybody that I teach, they're equally passionate about the art and equally passionate about passing it and preserving it and keeping it alive. So no, anting is something I couldn't have even if I wanted to have, because I think, firstly my faith. I am Muslim. My Islam is my religion, and that means for me that I don't rely on any amulet or any prayers to protect me, because obviously believe in God really. So God is the one ultimately protect us or not. So I don't need it. I don't want it. Yeah, Monkey. Do you know what people say that to me? Oh, Bruce Lee was the one that introduced me, influenced me, or whatever. I honestly tell you that I knew nothing about Bruce Lee really until a lot later, because I never had a video. I mean, when we grew up, we had ATV, not much. It was quite hard because thinking about it, my dad came to this country when he was young. He was a young man. He worked really hard. He'd done well for himself. He bought a house. He brought us over late. I came to this country when I was about 6 years old. So we didn't have a lot. TV, video, we didn't have a lot. The video, only person in my family that had a video was my cousin, and they only watched Indian films, Bollywood films. So I knew nothing in my younger days about Bruce Lee until a lot later, after I started doing martial arts. So Bruce Lee did influence me one bit, unfortunately. I'd love to say Bruce Lee was the one. Everybody says Bruce Lee was the one, but for me it was Monkey. I'd like to see it obviously grow and expand, and I want to support what Master Arnold's doing, because I've always supported Master Tony in as much as I could. Now as Arnold has the reins, and I'm going to help him as much as I can, support him preserve the art and promote it. So I'm the main person in Europe doing Ilustrisimo. Now we need to make sure that we get Ilustrisimo into other countries more accessible, like Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, those kind of places. So whenever we spoke about it, whenever there is seminars or invitations, I would like to help and assist Master Arnold with that. We need to have a bit more discipline, I think, in the approach that we take. So we need to be, I know Master Arnold and everybody doesn't want us to be commercial. I don't want us to be commercial, but in order to attract people, there's going to be a certain element of commercial kind of interest. People need to know what they're getting for their money. Unfortunately, this is the way it is in the West. They need to have the gradings, the kind of syllabus, which we never had really. We had train. But in the West, you need system, syllabus, progression. So that's what we're working on really, to do that, so people can see what they're learning. We used to train with sticks quite a lot, but when we transfer that into swords, a lot of the students make mistakes, because with the sword, we have to use the flat of the blade. Flat of the blade quite a lot. Now, when you hold a stick, you can hold it like this, and you can hit with the edge of the blade. And that's the mistake. We only block with the flat, and we cut with the edge. So very, very important that students have, if they don't have a metal weapon, they should have a wooden sword to replicate that. And that's what we're doing now, is we're saying to the students, forget the sticks. You use the wooden sword or the metal sword or aluminium sword. You can, once you understand how to position your hand and your feet, you can use a stick for safety when you're teaching or training. But it produces bad habits, basically, training with a stick, if you're doing a sword art. If you're doing a stick art, fantastic, no problem. Big difference. I mean, we was training over, weren't we? The guys were doing it over the weekend, and they all actually said, actually, you know what? We don't want to train with sticks anymore. They said it themselves. After we had an intensive 2-day seminar with Arnold, a public seminar, then we had 3 days private group training, all day, all evening training. And the difference it made to them, you can see it in their eyes, like, oh, you know, throw away the sticks. We don't want to be training with sticks anymore. But there is a need for sticks as well to, you know, when you strike in, to get the body mechanics, you know, having a longer stick than normal, because most sticks are 28 inch, whereas we'll have 31, 32 inch or maybe longer. Yeah, that helps your body mechanics when you're actually striking. That's the good thing about having the stick, to learn how to use the body. But when you're training for fighting, you need to do it with the edged weapon, otherwise you don't get the feel of it.